Hey guys, Joshua Neal here, and today we're taking a look at Ruin by Lamb of God. Remember, if you enjoy the lesson, click like and let me know. You can also subscribe so you don't miss any future updates. And as always, don't forget to grab the full riff by riff transcription downstairs so you can follow along at home. All right, let's get to it. So first things first, we're going to need to get our bass in tune. And the Lamb of God plays in drop D, which is probably the simplest alternate tuning you'll ever have to deal with. All you're going to do is take your low E string and drop it down until it matches the pitch of your open D string, or an octave below your open D string, rather. You can also do this with an electronic tuner. So your strings from low to high on a 4-string bass would be D, A, D, and G. So really the only thing that has changed is that low E string has become a D. All right, let's take a look at riff number 1 in the transcription. Now, most of this song is in what's called 12/8 time. If you're not familiar with the time signatures that end in an 8, the simplest way to think about it is akin to something over 4, like 4/4 being our most common time signature. This is very much like 4/4, except all of the beats are triplets. So rather than dividing the beat into 2 equal parts, which is what we're used to in 4/4 time or anything over 4, we're going to divide the beat into 3 equal parts, triplets. So instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which is what we would do for 8th notes in 4/4 time, we're going to divide the beat into triplets. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just like that. So there's going to be a lot of alternate picking, and the tricky thing with a compound time, as these are called at first, is if you're doing alternate picking, the start of every beat is going to begin on a different pick stroke. In this case, beat 1 is going to begin on a down pick, 1 and Beat 2, though, is going to begin on an upstroke, 2 and Beat 3 will be on a downstroke, 3 and then beat 4 will also be on an upstroke, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just like that. But if you're able to think of it as just 4/4 with triplets, you'll be just fine. If you also are familiar with the song or you listen to it a lot, you will start to pick up that triplet feel. Anyway, let's get looking at riff number 1. And it's a fairly simple riff, and it's going to last for quite a while in the intro of the song. That's all it is. So I'm starting on the open D string. I'll call it the E string just to keep it simple. We'll talk about the strings as if they were still in standard tuning. We've got 3 open E's, 1 and then we've got 5th fret of the E string on beat 2, followed by another open E, and then 6th fret on the E, and then we're going to repeat that exact pattern. So it would be open, 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 5, open, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just like that. Just over and over and over again. Riff number 2, which is a little variation on it, is going to follow much of the same rhythm, but we're going to get a little fancy with it. We'll start on the 2nd fret of the E string, and we're going to have to start with. So instead of just straight 8th notes or straight triplets in this case, we're going to double up on that 2nd 8th note of beat 1. So we'll have 1, 2 sixteenths, and an 1/8. And then we're still going to have the 5th fret to the 6th fret, except instead of going down to the open E string, we're going to go back to that 2nd fret of the E string. And then to wrap it up, we're going to have 2nd fret, 5th fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 5th fret. So all together it would look like just like that. If you have difficulty with that little gallop rhythm, those 16th notes in the beats 1 and beat 3 of these particular measures, you can get rid of it and just replace it with an upstroke 8th note, and nobody's really going to notice if that'll make it easier for you. So that would look like this. So it would make it look a lot like the original riff. But again, if you want to do exactly what John is doing, it would be. And that'll repeat a couple times, then it would go back to the riff 1, and then finally we would get into the verse. And the verse actually has no bass in it for the first couple measures, through the first 2 vocal lines actually. When the bass does come in, it's just a low open string, just a low open E. And we're going to let that ring for 3 whole measures. So it'd be 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. And then we would get to this little turnaround riff here. So that starts on the open E, and I'm hammering on to most of these notes, but if it's easier for you to just alternate pick the whole thing, that would be okay too. Be open, 3rd fret, 3rd fret, that's the first beat, 1 and then we have 3rd fret up to the 6th fret, and then another 6th fret, so 2 and you can also slide between them if that makes it easier too. 3rd fret would be, I'm sorry, 3rd beat would be 6th fret down to the 5th fret and another 5th fret. So 3 and then 3rd fret, 5th fret followed by another 5th fret for beat 4. That's 4 and so that whole last measure in riff number 3 is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and or open 3 3 3 6 6 6 5 5 3 5 5 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we move on to riff number 3A, which is the main part of the verse, is where the bass joins the guitar, and that riff is going to look like this, or most of the riff is going to look like this. So let's look at just that first half. These are the first 2 measures in riff 3A. We've got 3 open E strings, 1 and then we'll have the 5th fret on the A string back to an open E, 6th fret on the A string. So we've got open, 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 5 on the A, open, 6 on the A, then 3 more opens on the low string to the 1st fret on the low E string, followed by 2 opens. So that first measure is open, 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 5, open, 6, open, 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 1, open, open. Then the second measure is going to start the same way as the first measure. Open, 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 5, open, 6. And then we've got this little melodic run where we're somewhat doubling the guitars, but we're doing most of the notes an octave down. So instead of what the guitars are doing, which is right there, we're actually going to take these notes on the A string and we're going to drop them down onto the low E string. So that would start on the 3rd fret of the E string, and that would be 3rd fret, 2nd fret to the 3rd fret on the A, and then we're going to move that whole figure down 2 frets. So first fret, open, first fret on the A. 3, 2, 3 on the A, 1, O, 1 on the A. And I usually articulate each of these individually because it's easier for me, but if it works for you, you can make it a little bit more like the guitars, and you can do a pull-off on the low string. Like that. Pull off, as opposed to, which would, either way would work. It's entirely what works for you. The third measure is going to start the same way as the first 2 measures. Open, 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 5 on the A, open, 6 on the A, and then we're going to just go straight through on the open string. 3 and 4, and so that third measure is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then we have this little run that, again, we're doubling what the guitar is doing, but we're doing some of the notes an octave down, and that's going to look like this. So that starts on the open low string, the open E. We've got open, 6th fret on the E string to 7th fret on the E string, and that's beat 1. Beat 2 starts on 6th fret of the A down to 7th fret on the E, 6th fret on the E. Then we've got open E, this is the start of beat 3, 6th fret, 5th fret, and then the start of beat 4 will be open, 3rd fret, 6th fret on the low string. So all together it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and from here you'll notice this is a first ending. From here we would go back to the start of that riff 3A. We would play through the first 3 measures again. Those would be unchanged. And then the second ending, the way that we get out of this riff, is going to be exactly the same as the end of riff number 3. Open, 3, 3, 3, 6, 6, 6, 5, 5, 3, 5, 5. And that takes us to riff number 4, which I guess we could call the chorus, if you wanted to call it that. And that riff looks like... So we've got a lot of these like breakdown style riffs that Lamb of God is fairly well known for. It's going to be mostly on the low E string. To start it off, we've got 4 hits on the open low string, 1 and 2, and we're going to rest on the and of beat 2. I'm doing these alternate picking. If you want to make these a little bit heavier, you could do them as all downs. Either way, whichever one works for you. But we've got 2 of those 1 and 2 type rhythms in a row. So it's in that first measure, it's going to be 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And then in the second measure, we rest on the downbeat of 1. We come in on the and. So it'll be 1 and 2. So putting those all those hits together, it'll be 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2. And then we've got the alternating little turnarounds here. The first one, the guitar actually comes in first. The bass doesn't join in until the downbeat. Those 2 8th rests next to each other in measure 2. Those would be just guitar, and then the bass would join in right on beat 3. So it makes it a little bit easier, at least for now. That first turnaround is going to start on the 6th fret of the A string. It's going to be 3 hits on the 6th fret of the A string, 3 and then we're going to take it down to the 3rd fret of the A string, 4 and so those first 2 measures all together are going to be 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. next measure, or the next measure and a half, is going to be the same. 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4, and a 1. I'm sorry, and a 2. In that first ending there in riff number 4, we're going to start in the same place for the little turnaround. We're going to start on the 6th fret of the A string again, and it'll be 3 and just like it was before, but then instead of going to the 3rd fret on the A string, we're going to go to the 8th fret on the E string. We're going to have 1 hit on the 8th fret of the E string, followed by 2 hits on the 7th fret of the E string. So that whole first ending together would be 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4, and a 6, 6, 6, 8, 7, 7. Just like that. The riff would repeat again, or the first 3 measures would repeat, and then we get to the second ending, which is almost exactly like the first ending. The only difference being we're going to fill in those 2 8th rests on the and in beat 2. We're actually going to join the guitar exactly at this point. So that second ending altogether would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so to put the whole riff number 4 together a little slower would look like this: 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4, 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4, 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4, 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. So all I did that last time was just add in that 5th fret on the A string to fill in those 2 8th notes. And that takes us into riff number 4A, which is going to be exactly doubling the guitar at this point, more or less doubling the guitar. We're going to do some stuff an octave down still, but we're not going to leave those rests in there for the guitar. We're actually going to join them. So it's going to be very similar to riff number 4, except we're going to add in those hits with the guitar, which would look like... So we've still got the 1 and 2 on the low E string, but then instead of resting, we're going to have 2 hits on the 5th fret of the A string. 1 and 2 and then we're going to do the exact same kind of rhythm, but we're going to go up to the 6th fret on the A string this time. 3 and 4 and so we've got 1 and 2 and 1 and 4 and first on the 5th fret of the A string, second on the 6th fret of the A string. The second measure here, we're going to start on the low open string again, and we're going to have 1 and 2, just like we usually do. We'll fill in the and of beat 2 with the 5th fret of the A string, 1 and 2 and then we're going to have the exact same turnaround we had the first time in riff number 4. 6th fret, 3rd fret on the A string. The third measure going to be the same as the first measure. 1 and 2, 5th fret, 1 and 2, 6th fret. And the third measure going to be very similar to the second ending of the riff number 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so to put that all together, riff number 4A would be. And from there we get into riff number 5, which is the little bridge riff, getting into some cool diminished type scales, which is going to look like this. So we're starting again. We got a lot of low open E or low open D. We're going to have actually 2 full beats of it. 1 and 2 and right on beat 3, we're going to grab the 1st fret of the E string, and then we're going to fill in the rest of the measure with opens. So 3 and 4 and that whole first measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and starting in the second measure, we're going to hop up to the 4th fret on the low string. We'll have 4th fret, open, 3rd fret, and then 3 opens to finish out beat 2. So we've got 1 and 2 and then the last 2 beats in the measure are going to start on the open low string, 3rd fret, 5th fret, and then open, 3rd fret, 6th fret. So all together in number 5, we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Okay, the next new piece of information we're going to have, I'm calling riff number 6, and this is the outro. This is right after the big drum fill, which is now known as the ruin fill, because it's become so so well known outside of the song. So after the ruin fill, we get into this outro, and the big things you'll notice here is we've gotten a lot faster. We're up to about 165 at this point, and we've also switched out of the compound time. We're back into a simple time, but we're in 7 now, 7/4. The bass is going to be doubling the guitar exactly on this riff and the next riff, but this is definitely the most difficult part of the song. It's the part that you may have to sit down with a metronome nice and slow and really get these pickings under control, because you are not going to have time to think about them when they're going by, when you're playing the song or you're playing along to the recording. But slowly, this is what riff number 6 looks like. And you'll notice I'm doing it down on the 12th fret of the low string rather than up on the 5th fret of the A string. And this is so I don't have to switch strings. This is going by so quick that I find it easier to just keep this part of the song all on one string. Sonically, it's not that much different. Again, I don't think anybody's going to call you on it if you play it down on the low string. But if it's easy enough for you to switch up to the A string for these, go right ahead. You can certainly do it. But I'm going to be talking about it as if we're keeping it all on the low string. So we've got these little stabs of 16th notes all on the low E string, and we're going to take a look at it. We'll break it down into little sections. We're going to start with 2 16th notes, followed by a 16th rest, and then another 2 16th notes, followed by another rest. So we've got 2 groupings of 3 16th rhythms, with 2 16th notes being on, being a sound, and 1 being rest. Tat, 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 tat. Then we've got 5 16th notes in a row after that, followed by a rest. Then we've got another 2, rest, 2, rest. So it's exactly the same as it was in the beginning. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 1 2, and then we've got a further 1 2 on the low string to finish it out. And the last 2 beats in each of these cases is going to be reserved for one of those little runs, which we'll look at in a second. So again, the primary rhythm you're dealing with, and I'm going to just count the groupings of 16th notes rather than count them through with the syllables. 1, 2, rest, 1, 2, rest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rest, 1, 2, rest, 1, 2, rest, 1, 2. And that's going to be the same through both parts of riff number 6. It's the ending of each of these sections that's going to be different. The first one, we're going to start on the 12th fret of the E string, and we're going to hammer on to the 13th fret. And then 2 more 13s. So we've got 12, 13, 13, 13. And then from here, we're going to hit the 13th fret, and we're going to slide up to the 17th fret. And then 2 more 17s. So that whole ending of the first line of riff number 6 is 12, 13, 13, 13, 13, 17, 17, 17. 1 E and a 2 E and a. And the, like I said, the second line is going to be exactly the same except for the ending. This ending here is going to again start on 12, hammer on to 13 with 2 13s. But then instead of sliding up to 17 from here, you're going to go right down to fret 10, 10th fret, right on the beat, and just play that through beat 7. 7, E, and so that whole second ending is 12, 13, 13, 13, 10, 10, 10, 10. 6 E and 7 E and so all together again it's when we get to riff number 6A, it's going to be exactly the same as riff number 6. The only difference is we are not going to have those chokes. We're not going to have those rests in the middle of it. We are going to let the notes ring through the rests. Where we would have rested before, we're going to let them ring. But the rhythms and the endings are exactly the same. So that would look like... We've still got the same 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2. This part actually makes it a little bit easier. It's pretty difficult to choke the notes to get those rests nice and clean at the high speed. So when you no longer have to in riff number 6A, life gets a lot easier. And finally, we are down to riff number 6B. We've gone into 4/4 at this point, and we've slowed way down. We're down to about 1/16 at this point, and this is just a variation on the riff 6 and 6A, the outro that we were doing. And in time, at a slower speed, it's going to look like this. That list ending again, and let's break it down. So we've got these low kind of grinding hits on the open E string. We're going to hold the first one for 3/4 of a beat. We got a dotted 8th note there, so it's going to take up 1 E and. The next hit's going to come in on the of beat 1. That's going to tie through beat 2, and we're going to have a hit on the and of beat 2 in riff 6B. 1 E and 2 E and 1 E and 2 E and we're going to rest for a dotted 8th rest, so that's the same length as the first beat in there, the first hit in there, the same as 3/16 notes. That'll take up 3 E and. We come in on the of beat 3. We hold through 4 E, the first half of beat 4, and we're going to come in on the and of beat 4 for that first measure. So so far, first measure, we've got 1 E and 4, E, and next measure, we are going to rest for the first half of beat 1. We're going to come in on the and of beat 1. We're going to carry through beat 2, downbeat of beat 2. We're going to come in on the and of beat 2 on that low string, and then we're going to have the exact same ending that we did in number 6 and 6A. Because the riff has slowed down at this point, this is where I switch it up to playing it on the A string. So that would be 5, 6, 6, 6, 6, 10, 10, 10. 3 and 4 E and so altogether, that first line is. And the second line is going to be almost exactly the same. We're just going to replace that ending with a different ending. And this is actually a completely different ending from riff number 6 or riff number 6A, and I'll break that down in a second. But we've still got the same 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 and sorry, that would have been 1 E and 2 E and those are all on the offbeats rather than being incredibly syncopated. They're just on the offbeats rather than on the off 16th notes. Now this final ending in riff number 6B, this one can be a little tricky just because it's such a large slide. We're going to start the same way as all of our other endings. 5th fret, hammer onto the 6th fret, and finish it out with some 6s. Because of the slide that we have to do at the end here, what I typically do for this riff is 5th fret, I'll actually slide to the 6th fret rather than hammer on, and that's because I want to use my first finger for the slide for where I'm going. 5, 6, 6, 6. And from here, we're going to hit the 6th fret. We're going to slide all the way to the 1st fret. We're going to hit another 1, and then an open. So that final ending in 6B would be 5, 6, 6, 6, 6, 1, 1, open. So it's kind of like the ending we were seeing in the previous riffs. In fact, if this slide is a little bit too difficult, you can make it closer to that older riff, which would be. You don't get that slide in there, but as long as the notes are correct, it would still work. So that would be 5, 6, 6, 6, 6, 8 on the E string, 8 and 7, and then it would turn back around. And then the very final riff we have 6C. This is just the ending of it where we actually start to slow way down. Rhythmically, we start the same way as 6B. 1 E and 2 E and we're gonna rest fully on beat 3. We're going to have a hit on beat 4, and then we're going to hit right on beat 1, and we're going to just let that hang to finish up the song. So 6C again, without stopping, would be 1 E and 2 E and 3, 4, 1. And that's it. There it is, guys. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you did, be sure to click like and let me know, and also leave me a comment. I do my best to get back to those. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future updates. And as always, be sure to grab that full riff by riff transcription so you can practice along at home. And until next time,